Today we're going to unpack something that's often right in front of us, but we rarely think about.
Okay.
The psychology of color.
Okay.
Specifically how it impacts how we see brands.
Yeah, it's fascinating how much we underestimate color. You know,
Yeah.
we tend to think of it as purely aesthetic.
Yeah.
But it goes so much deeper that the color taps into our emotions, our memories, even our instincts.
And we've got some amazing research to dive into today.
Yeah?
A mix of surveys and hard science.
Cool.
We'll explore some pretty intriguing questions like, do men and women actually see color differently? And how much does color really influence our buying decisions?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Are you ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Data on the screen, numbers come alive. Male, female flows where the patterns thrive. Visual charts, public colors unify. Gender decoded, bringing truth to light. Watch them all drum fill. We break it down, real talk. Trends unveiling, facts from every block. Here's your insight, watch the data glide. Gender decoded, let the beats collide. We break it down, real talk. Trends unveiling, facts from every block. Here's your insight, watch the data glide. Gender decoded, let the beats collide.
All right, so today, let's dive into something we see literally everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. But we don't often think about its impact.
Yeah.
And that is color. Now, I'm not just talking about color like, making things look pretty or like aesthetically pleasing, although obviously that's part of it.
Right.
But we're talking about how color influences our choices,
Yeah.
our perceptions every single day. Like sometimes we get those gut feelings.
Right.
Color can play a huge role in that.
It really is fascinating how much we underestimate the impact of color.
Yeah.
There was a Xerox survey that found that 90% of people, they actually believe that color attracts customers.
Wow.
And 81% say it gives brands a competitive edge. But honestly, it even goes deeper than that.
So how deep does it go? Give us the juicy stats.
No, think about this. 93% of buying decisions are influenced by visuals.
Oh, wow.
That's almost everyone.
Yeah, that's huge.
And over half of shoppers have admitted to walking away from a store simply because the aesthetics didn't appeal to them. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, color matters a lot.
Okay, so we're making snap judgments based on color.
Yes.
But how snap are we talking?
We're talking about the 90-second rule. So within just 90 seconds of seeing something new, we've already formed an opinion.
90 seconds? That's crazy.
And get this, 62% to 90% of that judgment is based on color alone.
So in less time than it takes me to, heat up my leftovers,
Yeah.
I've already decided if I like something and color is the main driver. That's kind of incredible, but also kind of terrifying. I mean, how much control does color really have over us?
Yeah, it's not about, control exactly.
Yeah.
But rather about deeply ingrained kind of like psychological associations.
Right?
So think about blue.
Yeah.
It's consistently the most popular color, across cultures.
Mm.
And there's a reason for that.
Yeah. Blue is calming, dependable, but why? Is it just we like looking at it?
It goes deeper.
So blue, it evokes the vastness of the ocean, the serenity of a clear sky. It's associated with feelings of trust, authority, even truth.
Okay.
It's no coincidence that a lot of banks and financial institutions use blue in their branding
Oh, that's interesting.
because it subconsciously signals this reliability to customers.
Oh, that makes sense. So it's not just about aesthetics. It's about tapping into those deep-seated emotions.
Yeah.
Emotions that we might not even be aware of.
Exactly. And it's not just blue. Every single color has its own set of associations and triggers different responses. It's how brands build their identity. And it goes way beyond just a logo. We're talking about packaging, websites, store design. Everything needs to be consistent. In fact, the right color choices can increase brand recognition by a whopping 80%.
80%. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so blue might be the most popular overall, but are there colors that people just straight up dislike? Like, are there any brand deal breakers?
Well, consistently, brown, orange, and yellow rank low on the popularity scale.
Wait, so are you saying companies like McDonald's, IKEA, Amazon, Home Depot, all of whom use those colors, are making a mistake?
Not necessarily. Remember, it's all about understanding your target audience. For example, if you're marketing kids' toys, you probably wouldn't use black and brown.
Yeah.
Kids are drawn to bright, vibrant colors. On the other hand, most adults don't want their furniture to be, the same colors as a children's playroom.
Right. That makes sense.
Each color has its own unique set of associations, and it can be used effectively depending on the message you're trying to convey.
Okay, so blue's associated with trust, while some colors, though less popular, can still be used effectively depending on the brand and the message. What about other colors? Are there any surprises when it comes to favorite colors?
Oh, there are definitely some interesting trends.
Yeah.
For instance, while both men and women list green and red among their favorites, there's one color that sparks strong reactions, especially among women.
Okay.
And that is purple.
Purple. Interesting.
Some love it, some hate it.
Why such a strong divide with purple? What's going on there?
Well, purple is often associated with luxury, royalty, and creativity. But there's also a fascinating gender dynamic at play. Research suggests a link between gender and color preferences, particularly when it comes to shades and tints.
Okay.
For instance, pink, essentially a tint of red, is much more popular among women.
Right. Makes sense.
Men, on the other hand, often prefer bolder shades like ruby red.
So, even when both men and women say they like red, they might be picturing entirely different shades.
Exactly.
But this gender difference keeps coming up. Is it nature or nurture? Is it just social conditioning, or is something else going on?
Well, there are definitely societal influences, but there's also a fascinating biological component we can't ignore.
Okay.
You see, the way we perceive color is actually tied to our genes, specifically the X chromosome.
Oh, wow.
Women have 2 X chromosomes while men have 1. This means women inherit a wider variety of cones. These are the things in our eyes responsible for color vision,
Right.
which allows them to perceive a greater range of color variation.
Well, that's so interesting.
Men might need longer wavelengths of light to see the same colors, perhaps leading them towards colors with shorter wavelengths, like blues and greens.
So women are literally seeing a spectrum of colors that men might not even be aware of.
It's possible.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And hold on, doesn't this tie into color blindness being more common in men?
Absolutely. Color blindness is much more prevalent in men, affecting about 7% of the male population compared to just 0.4% of women. It really highlights the fundamental differences in how men and women perceive color.
Okay, so we've covered the colors we love, the ones we love to hate, and even the ones that spark controversy. But with all this information, where do we go from here? How do we apply this knowledge in a practical way?
Well, it all boils down to this. The key to, using color effectively is understanding your target audience and the emotions you want to evoke. It's about choosing colors that resonate with your audience and effectively communicate your brand message.
Okay, so it's not just picking a color I like. It's about picking a color that will resonate with my audience and effectively communicate my message. It seems like there's a lot to consider. Are there any guidelines or examples of how brands are using color strategically?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's dive into a few specific colors and their psychological effects. Take red, for instance. It's a bold, energetic color, often associated with passion and excitement. Brands like Coca-Cola and Target utilize red to grab attention and stimulate the senses.
Yes, those iconic red logos definitely stand out. But isn't red also associated with, danger or warning? Think stop signs or fire alarms. How do brands, navigate that duality?
That's the interesting thing about color. Context is key.
Okay.
So red can evoke a wide range of emotions, both positive and negative. It's all about how it's used and the overall message being conveyed.
Right. That makes sense. So a company like Target might use red to create excitement and encourage impulse buys, while a stop sign uses red to warn us of danger. It's the same color, but the context changes its meaning.
Exactly. Now, let's shift gears to blue. We've talked about its calming and trustworthy qualities.
Yeah.
This is why it's such a popular choice for brands projecting, reliability and stability, such as banks, insurance companies, and tech giants like IBM and Facebook.
It's funny how certain colors become almost synonymous with specific industries.
Yeah.
You see blue and instantly think finance or technology. Seems like color really does have a powerful, subconscious effect on us.
Absolutely. It creates strong associations in our minds. Now, how about green?
Yeah.
It's often linked to nature, growth, and harmony, evoking feelings of peace and tranquility. This makes it a popular choice for brands that want to emphasize sustainability or natural ingredients.
Makes sense. When I see green, I think of lush forests or rolling hills. It's a very calming color. But green can also be used in other ways, right?
Right? It can represent health and vitality, which is why it's often used in healthcare. Then there's yellow, a color often associated with optimism, joy, and creativity. It's a cheerful color that can uplift moods and grab attention.
I do love a pop of yellow. But we mentioned earlier that yellow isn't universally loved. How do brands strike a balance?
Well, it's about using it strategically and understanding that, while yellow can be very effective for brands like McDonald's or Nikon who want to project a sense of happiness and energy, too much yellow can be jarring. It's all about finding the right amount for your target audience.
Right. So moderation is key when it comes to yellow. What about orange? What kind of message does it send?
Orange is an interesting one. It's often associated with warmth, enthusiasm, and creativity. It can be very eye-catching and stimulating, which is why it's often used by brands that want to stand out from the crowd and project confidence and energy.
Orange definitely has a certain boldness to it. I can see why brands like Harley-Davidson or Fanta would gravitate towards it. We've talked a lot about colors, but what about non-colors, like black and white? What role do they play in color psychology?
Yeah, black and white, though not technically colors, are crucial elements in color psychology. Black is often associated with elegance, power, and sophistication. It can also represent, mystery or rebellion. Think of brands like Chanel or Nike.
Black is a classic for a reason. It's timeless and versatile.
Uh.
And what about white?
Well, white is often associated with purity, cleanliness, and simplicity. It's a color that can evoke feelings of peace and tranquility. Think of brands like Apple or Dove. White can also represent new beginnings.
It's amazing how these non-colors can have such a powerful psychological impact. What about when they're used in combination with other colors?
Well, they create powerful contrasts and visual impact. For example, a black and white logo with a splash of red can be very eye-catching and memorable.
It seems like there's so much to consider when it comes to choosing the right colors for a brand. It can feel a little overwhelming.
Yeah, you're right. There are no hard and fast rules.
Yeah.
And the best approach is to carefully consider your target audience, your brand message, and the specific emotions you want to evoke. Consulting with a branding expert or a graphic designer who specializes in color psychology can be extremely helpful.
So it's a specialized field, which makes sense considering how complex and nuanced color psychology really is. But even with all this knowledge, there's still an element of intuition and creativity involved in choosing the right colors.
Absolutely. While, data and research are essential, trusting your gut and going with what feels right for your brand is important. Remember, color is a powerful tool, but it's ultimately up to you how you wield it.
As we've been talking about all this, I can't help but think about how color is being used all around us all the time, shaping our perceptions and experiences in ways we might not even realize.
It really is. It's a bit mind-boggling when you stop to think about it. Color is everywhere, constantly influencing our thoughts and feelings. It's like a silent language that we're all speaking and interpreting all the time, whether we realize it or not. We're bombarded with color from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep. The color of the walls in our homes, the packaging of our favorite products, the clothes we wear, even the color of the car we drive.
Yeah.
All these choices, they influence us in very subtle ways.
Wow. When you put it that way, it's almost overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like it makes you want to start paying more attention to the colors around you.
Yeah.
And really consider how they're making you feel. Are they calming you, energizing you, making you feel happy, sad, or something else altogether? Once you start paying attention, you'll be amazed by how much color plays a role in your daily experience.
I know, it's amazing.
This deep dive has really opened my eyes to the power of color. We've learned so much from how it influences our buying decisions to its impact on our emotions and perceptions. It's so much more than just, a visual element. It's a fundamental part of the human experience.
Absolutely. And as we become more aware of its power, we can start to use color more intentionally and effectively in our own lives.
Yep.
Whether we're choosing colors for our homes, our clothes, or even our brands, Understanding the psychology of color can help us create more harmonious and impactful experiences.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I have a challenge for you, our listener.
Okay.
Take a moment to look around
Mm-hmm.
and really notice the colors that are surrounding you right now. Think about the messages they might be sending and how they might be influencing you. Are they achieving their intended effect?
Right.
What emotions are they evoking in you?
And remember, there are no right or wrong answers. It's all about becoming more mindful of the impact color has on our lives. Once we understand its power, we can start to use it to our advantage.
Right.
Creating spaces and experiences that support our well-being and help us achieve our goals.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this colorful journey. And until next time, stay curious.
Yeah.
And keep exploring the fascinating world around you.